Hi, good morning. So I wanted to talk about an element of an abusive relationship, and the element I'm going to talk about today is jealousy. I know the background you see me in is a little different. I'm actually headed to the beach, and I'm trying to utilize my time the best that I can, and have my me time to get out and enjoy God's creation, go out and get alone with Him, or have my friend time. That's a really big thing that I think you should do if you've been in an abusive relationship, if you're trying to get out or you've just recently gotten out. I mean, it's good to hang out with other people, but at the same time, you need to hang out by yourself as well, because you were so used to being in that relationship. You were so used to being around somebody that was abusing you and treating you wrong, and you were very controlled. And now it's time for you to get out and discover who you are and know that you are a competent, capable individual who can go out, have fun, and enjoy your own company. You have to learn to enjoy your own company in order to get into healthy, functioning relationships. You have to learn to get to know yourself and to really get to know God and allow Him to work in your life and create you to be the person He created you to be. I want to get back to the jealousy element. It is an element of abuse, but it's more actually like an element of power. And if you watch the video that I did before on power, you'll see that power is actually the foundation for an abusive relationship. And jealousy is a tactic used in order for the abuser to maintain power over their survivor. In the past I have used the word victim, but I'm going to start using the word survivor in order to explain people who have been in these relationships. They are survivors. And I mean, I'm not talking about the healthy, I wouldn't say they're healthy types of jealousy, but there's the type of jealousy where a partner is cheating. I mean, that's normal. Or the type of jealousy where somebody's trying to get in on that relationship, that's going to happen as well. But I really wanted to focus more on extreme types of jealousy that happen in these abusive relationships that are not normal, that shouldn't be tolerated. And I also want to kind of spin off into another type of jealousy where maybe one partner is jealous of another partner, and that actually could be a reason for an abusive relationship to occur. In my video where I talk about signs that you're in an abusive relationship, I talk about two really common types of people who are abusers. One is the insecure person, and the other person is the narcissist. And the insecure person might be jealous of the person who ends up being a survivor in an abusive relationship. That happened to me, but there were other things that happened that caused me to stay in that relationship as well. But my ex-boyfriend was actually jealous of me and certain traits that I had that he wished he'd had. I'm kind of loud and outgoing, and he was more shy and reserved, and he would always tell me he wished he was more like me and that he had those traits, and he would always admire those traits at first, but then he started to actually put those traits down and act like they were a bad thing, and I even started to believe that they were a bad thing too, and I started to change my personality because of it. And somebody who's insecure, extremely insecure, who's willing to actually get into a relationship where they try to pull someone down and control them, they might admire somebody and they want to bring them down because they feel so bad about themselves. And if they actually are able to control this individual, they will have the sense of power that they feel that they don't have, because they don't have these traits that they wish they had, that they admire so much in this other person. So that's something to really look out for. That's a red flag if your partner is jealous of you. I also really want to get into the extreme types of jealousy that people experience in these relationships. And something that actually has to happen before jealousy can be used as a tactic is for the abuser to be able to change the survivor's sense of reality, which is another tactic of an abusive relationship that I'll get into in another video. Isolation is another tactic also that I'm going to do in a separate video. But there's an abusive relationship is like a web of deception. And in this web of deception, there are anchors, if you will, that pull back the survivor into the relationship if they try to get out, and further manipulate them into adopting the abuser's values. The abuser will have values, and if they're a more developed person than you are as a survivor, they will impose these values on you, no matter how twisted and skewed their values are, and you might end up adopting them because you don't have your own values. That was actually my situation. I didn't have my own values, and so I adopted the values of the abuser, which were extremely dysfunctional. And so he warped my sense of reality into thinking his type of jealousy was okay and normal, and that I needed to change my behavior in order to, I guess, stay in the relationship or keep him happy. And if an abuser will try to see what they can get away with you, if they have bait and switch tactics, so they'll maybe act in an extreme way. And there are people who do this intentionally too. It might be either intentional or not intentional. Watch out for the people who are intentional about it, because they know how to do this well. Or they might not, but in my case, this guy did know how to do this well. But what'll happen is they will get you to believe their view of jealousy, and you'll change your behavior, and they'll see that as a weakness. They'll try to see what they can get away with. So if you give in to their demands and you change they're looking to see if you're going to change your behavior. And if you change your behavior, they know, oh, you know what, this person might be an easier target for abuse, or the manipulation, the web of manipulation they want to pull you into so that they can maintain control. Some examples of the extreme jealousy that was used as a tactic against me in my past relationship was, I worked in a predominantly male field. In fact, me and my boyfriend at the time, we both worked together, and I was the only female in the shop for a long time. And there were other guys in the shop that liked me, and of course, if they hit on me, I was real strong and, you know, would avoid their advances. I would kind of get up in their face and tell them to leave me alone because I wasn't in a relationship. But sometimes they would stare at me, and sometimes I'd catch them doing that, and sometimes I wouldn't, and he always was looking for that. And so when that would happen, he'd tell me later on, you know, all these guys are staring at you, and you should do something about it. You know, you must be doing something to cause them to be doing that. But in reality, you can't control somebody else like that. People are gonna look. You can't control if somebody else looks at you or not. And it's not like I was dressing provocatively or anything. I mean, I was in the military. I was wearing BDUs, camouflage to work every day. It was completely modest, the least thing you would think people would stare at you in, but you know, it happens. Another example is, and this kind of goes into isolation, but when my mom had come to visit me for Thanksgiving when I was in the military in a different state, me and her went out all day to the beach, shopping, you know, just had some nice time together. And I had let my boyfriend know that, and we both lived in the dorms together, so we were together all the time. We saw each other all the time, which was another thing that made it hard for me to leave, because I saw him all the time and it was hard to get away to get over him. But when me and my mom were gone all day and I came back, and you know, I let him know I was going to be gone all day with my mom, and of course I didn't have to let him, I don't have to let him know that, but I did, you know, out of courtesy. Hey, you know, I'm going to be gone all day, we're going to be doing this. And so when I got back, he was upset, and out of the blue he said, how do I know you weren't out with some guy? I don't really need to say anything more about how extreme that type of jealousy is. So that's an example of what happened and how my reality was warped into thinking maybe I need to change my behavior, maybe I need to do this, maybe I need to do that. Always walking on eggshells to try to make him happy. And another situation that happened was my friends were planning a birthday party for me, and so I was getting ready to go. Of course, we were still in the dorms at the time. He came over to hang out, and he asked, "Where are you going?" And I said, "I'm going to my friends where they're having a birthday party for me." And he got really mad and said, "What? I was planning a surprise party for you, but you ruined it." And I was so upset, and my reality was so warped. I was caught in this web of deception that I ended up not going to the party that my friends were planning for me. And guess what? He didn't even do the surprise party for me either. So I ended up doing nothing for my birthday because I was caught into that web of deception, because I didn't have any values and I allowed my reality to be warped. Now that I have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ, I've developed those values and I have my boundaries, so I would never become victim to that again. But that's just an example of extreme jealousy and isolation and the different tactics that can be used to keep somebody in the web of deception of an abusive relationship. And I think together what we need to do, I try to speak in an abstract type of form, so when I say web of deception, you can kind of see something that conceptually you can't see, but you need to make it concrete so that you can identify it. So just know that an abusive relationship is like a web of deception, and there's different anchors in that web of deception that will try to pull you back and keep you in that relationship. Jealousy is one of them. And if your sense of reality is warped, that tactic is going to work on you and serve as an anchor to keep you in that relationship. So if you're able to identify these things in a concrete manner, you can keep them from happening if you're currently in a relationship where this is occurring. And you can also identify them for future relationships so that you can get into relationships that are functional and healthy and not become victim to these abusive types of relationships. And as I talk more about the different elements of an abusive relationship, the different anchors that pull you in, that keep you in there, we can identify these together. And I encourage you to leave comments if you think of other anchors that cause somebody to stay in an abusive relationship. All the ingredients that go into this meal of an abusive relationship that formed the foundation for it and form the dysfunction that causes somebody to continue abusing and causes the survivor to continue to stay and experience more extreme types of deception and abuse. I would love to hear your comments on that and your thoughts on that. I would also love to hear any comments that you have on jealousy, what I said, if there's anything that I missed, if you want to bring anything up. The goal is to help people. I'd like to form a community of people that are willing to help each other to not fall victim to these type of relationships, because to be honest with you, it does take a community of people to form a safety net for someone to fall into once they get out of the web of deception. And please stay tuned for my next videos. The next one I'm going to do is on isolation, which ties into jealousy. Of course, all of these anchors feed off of each other and are amplified if you fall bait to them. And my goal is to totally hear from God, to come up with ways that I can biblically express to you how to avoid getting into these relationships and to get out of them if you're currently in them. Thank you so much for listening. God bless you.